So, here's a little story about how I went backpacking for the first time and actually convinced a friend of mine to come along with me.
Woohoo! We're doing it.
We're doing it.
Oh yeah.
Our trip started in Los Angeles, California, and we drove up to the Los Padres National Forest right above Ojai.
We're here in Ojai.
Ohio.
So cute. Ranger Station. How was the ride?
It was good. Weirdly in the mountains for the last part, but you know what? It was good. It was short.
Did my driving make you nervous?
Yeah. I mean, actually, I'm surprised that you drive pretty fast. You're right next to the truck as we were passing by.
So we stopped, got some breakfast and coffee. Gotta have that before you start any trip. And then we were off to the trailhead. Here's some photos of our gear because, obviously you guys want to see that. Us all packed down. Yeah, so the trail starts off and immediately your feet get wet.
I think so. How you doing up there?
Doing good. Water is in my shoes.
Yep. Within the first 2 minutes of the hike.
Just immediately there's payoff. There's just mountains all around, beautiful scenery. Made a couple friends along the trail, including this guy.
Snap. Look at that guy. All right, buddy.
So this entire trail kind of treks along a creek that used to be a river. And part of it, you actually hike through a dried out river bed, but you can also hear the creek kind of trickling along.
In what was a riverbed at one point. Crazy.
Hello, creations be crazy.
What? Yo. We're taking a quick break.
Yes.
So we're 3.5 miles into the trail.
Yeah.
But we have hiked about 4 miles so far.
4 miles.
Yes.
It's been about 2 hours, I think. Less than that.
Yeah, it's 11:42 right now.
Yeah,
Our
11:42.
socks and shoes are drying up a little bit over there. It was a little wet. But yeah.
And then we packed up our snacks and kept going towards the falls. As you can see, the more you hike in, the more water there is.
Quick check-in. We're 0.3 miles from the falls.
Oh yeah.
Already seeing some beautiful water trickling down the rocks.
Yeah, it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Woohoo! You're looking nice. I feel like you're living that Netflix together one. Oh yeah.
Bye.
Just waterfall after waterfall as you hike along, you get rewarded the whole way there. You'll hear us saying awesome and cool a lot. We were definitely impressed by the nature and just the beauty of everything around us, and this is probably my favorite moment of the whole trip.
So cool. We came.
We conquered.
There. We hiked through this. Crazy. Wow.
The view of this waterfall was blocked the whole way through that little rocky area that we were showing, and so when we came up on this little incline, the waterfall kind of just appeared out of nowhere, and that's why it felt so magical. Oh, look, we stumbled upon this waterfall. And guys, there only one other person kind of pit stopped at this waterfall. We had this waterfall and pool to ourselves for several hours. We swam, we ate lunch. It was so fun, and the whole time we were just and we were just mesmerized by the beauty of it. So it was really cool. And there's a little shot of our little camping stoves. So we ate and we hiked back towards a campsite that we found along the way, actually. And we stopped and swam in a couple more spots. And then here's the site we found. All right, we're at our home for the evening. These couple rocks. Got a fire pit there and right there on the creek. So cool. Right. My tent's gonna go here. And here's our campsite all set up. And me being really excited about stoking the fire. If you're thinking our tents are really close to the fire, you're right. Definitely don't recommend pitching a tent that close to your fire. We underestimated how small the campsite was, so we ended up putting the fire out because it was just too dangerously close to the tents, and we really didn't need the fire to cook on. We had our stoves anyway, so we ended up putting the fire out. Hey y'all, we're like having dinner. My food is preparing here, hers is preparing there. We're playing some cards.
Oh yeah.
You know, Look at this view again. Just look at that.
Yeah,
Fruits is over there.
It's a wonderful
Access to water.
Feeling
And
it.
time to sleep. I didn't sleep great. I woke up a couple times. One of the times I woke up drenched in sweat. Weird. Next time I woke up, I was cold. Weird. Just check out this view right outside of my tent again. So gorgeous. Never got old. Great thing about backpacking when you're close to fresh water is as long as you have like a little filtering system with you, you don't have to worry about packing in a ton of water. If we were hiking somewhere dry, we would have had to carry just so much water with us, and of course that weight wears you down for sure. So it was great to be this close to some natural running water. Cook a little breakfast. So, breakfast, we got oatmeal, we got pour-over coffee. You have to forgive my lack of accuracy with these pours. I was trying to hold the camera and do it at the same time. Not easy. But we ate breakfast and then it was time to say goodbye to our cute little campsite and head to the main waterfalls. One little funny tidbit, the whole time we were just like so in love with this campsite and amazed by how cute it was and how like it was like right on the stream. But we actually found out that it was surrounded by poison oak. So super glad that we avoided that. But yes. So the next piece of this hike, we don't have a ton of footage because it was actually pretty challenging. There's basically you're climbing over rocks the rest of the way to the main falls, and you do that for like 1.5 miles, 2 miles, but it takes a really long time just because you are just rock climbing the whole way. And actually once you get to the main falls, there is just like a rope dangling, and you have to climb up that cliff to access the main fall. So we ended up actually leaving our larger packs at the bottom and, you know, climbing that rope up to the main falls. But it definitely was worth it. I think there was a series of 4 waterfalls with a pool under each one. And we actually ran into a lot of people up there, so it's a pretty popular trail for day hikers. So we swam there a bit, and then it was time to hike out. And so here's where the trip got even more interesting. We noticed on the way in that if we hiked along the creek bed the whole way, we could probably save some time. So we decided that on the way back we would hike through the creek bed, because the trail kind of goes into the mountains a bit, and I was like being a big wuss about it. I didn't want to do the rock hopping because I knew it would be long and tiring and potentially dangerous. When you have a heavy pack, it's easy to like roll your ankle or step wrong. So I like reluctantly was hiking along the creek, and at one point I kind of just was like, I'm over this rock hopping, we need to go back to the trail. And so I just like stiff-armed us into this mission to find a place where the trail was close enough to the creek that we could actually catch it, because even though on the map it looks like the trail is really close to the creek the whole time, it actually wasn't. And so we find a spot where the trail gets pretty close to the creek. The only problem was it was about 10 or 15 feet above our heads. So we're at this cliff, and in my mind I'm like, this is my last chance to like get on this trail, or I'm gonna have to climb over these rocks for like another 2 miles, and or whatever number of miles. And I was being dramatic, but I really wanted to get back to the trail, so I suggested that we just climb the cliff and get back up there. So we did, and while it was precarious, we did actually get back up to the trail. But maybe 10 minutes into hiking on the trail, we saw that there was actually a path where there's a direct path that leads from the creek bed up to the trail, and that we climbed that cliff for nothing. But at the very least, we got a good story out of it.
We did it!
We did it!
Yo!
That was crazy.
And we did things that we didn't think were possible.
No.
We scaled up the sides of waterfalls, hanging onto a raggedy rope.
Oh my god, we climbed 3 ropes to get and create like a better or crazier waterfalls. And we swam up there. Oh my goodness.
Oh man,
Did it.
we did it. I'm so tired.
Wow, that's so crazy.
But we did it.
All right, next time